Good morning, world.
Good morning.
All right, I got a story for you. My daughter, who is in online classes, of course, she was in a Zoom class with one of her professors, and COVID came up. And this professor, he has some links to Vietnam or something. So he was talking about how they had everybody stay in their house in this province, and then the government would bring them food. And one of the students said, well, why don't we do that in America? And the professor said on the Zoom, because we're racist. So how that has anything to do with racism, I don't know. But what he forgot to leave out in a lot of these Asian countries, not only did they stay at home, they locked people in their homes, or they were threatened by force that if they left their homes, they would be arrested. So, of course, they had to bring them food. They did not allow them to go out and get food.
So the reason we don't bring food to people here in America is because America's racist.
Yeah, because we're racist.
Okay.
I mean, these are the type of professors you're getting at the schools. Okay. So anyways, I just thought I'd bring up that nice, cheery story, and luckily my daughter is grounded enough where she calls that stuff out. She wouldn't call it out to the professor because she still fears that it will affect her grades. So these poor kids, there's no free speech in class unless your speech aligns with the left. So
your story, we're going to be talking about schools again today, right?
Schools and language.
Schools and language.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
today, schools and language. I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian, and this is Cedric and Brian. All right, so I gave you that story because that's what we're dealing with in college, and fortunately we just heard another story today about filtering down to high school, elementary school. We've talked about that in the past, but this specific story was in New York City. New York City. Here it is up on the board. It says New York school encourages kids to stop using words like mom, dad.
Whoa. So the people who
I know.
who birthed you, your father and your mother, you don't refer to them as mom and dad anymore.
Not only that, probably the people paying for your education.
Right.
So, but it gets worse. So in their inclusive language guide, this is a guide, but here's where it's great. It's a Manhattan private school. So for all of those thinking, that's all right, we'll get our kids out of these public indoctrination centers.
Government indoctrination centers.
And we'll send them to a private school. This is a private school, and it gets even worse. Look right there up on the board. Grace Church School of NoHo. So not only is it private, it's a private religious school. Homeschooling it is.
Right. Jeez.
So
I have my notes here as well.
Yeah, and so this is, just to get right to the meat of it, it said the detailed guide recommends using the terms grown-ups, folks, family, or guardians as an alternative to mom, dad, and parents. So apparently parents too.
Now, I almost did. Now, back in our day when we went to school, there were, to be sensitive to some kids who maybe mom and dad are no longer there. They died or whatever. And they say, okay, who is your guardian? I understand that. But they're saying even if you have mom and dads in the house, they're saying don't refer to them as mom and dad.
Well, we're doing what we do with all of this. Like, I can relate this. We can relate this to the transgender. Right. You've got a very, very small population.
Right.
So instead of the small population adapting to the massive majority, the massive majority has to abide by the rules of the small minority for the sake of inclusivity. So now that probably 99.9% of the kids there have a mom and or dad or both, they don't want them to use that for that 0.001% that may not.
Yeah.
Because instead of teaching those kids in the true harsh world that they're going to have to deal with people saying mom and dad, and they're going to have to learn how to deal with that. You don't shelter them. It goes back to you talked about before, the participation trophies, because you don't want them to feel bad for losing. Well, guess what? That's the real world, right?
Right. I was talking to a young child about that earlier, and I said, in most schools, we teach kids that people are born with 10 digits, 10 fingers. Now, it's an anomaly when someone is born without a digit, but we teach to the fact that most people are born with 10 digits.
I knew a girl with 11 toes.
Really?
That was weird.
Wow. Imagine.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't say weird, huh? Because that's
different. It's different.
We're canceled.
It's different.
We are
it's
canceled.
Different. But like you said,
it's not normal. We're not used supposed to, and we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. But and I had a friend of mine a while back. We were talking about, and we're not talking bad on this, that their child was gay, and I said, "Oh, that's interesting. You didn't tell me that." And they're like, "Well, you didn't tell me that your son was heterosexual." I said, "Well, that is," and I have to be careful using this word we talked about. I said, "Well, that is the norm. That is what we teach to, and then when an anomaly happens, then we address it." But like you just said, you can't focus on the 0.001% of the anomaly and make that the general rule, because then we're all screwed up.
Yeah, but the whole point that why would you be offended? Well, I didn't tell you that. It's called communications.
Right.
So to go back to the article that Cedric sent me, so we talk about how to win friends and influence people. You ask people about themselves because nobody loves to talk about a subject more than themselves.
Right.
Right? So it's a good thing. So it says instead of asking a person, what are you? Where are you from? I mean, what the hell's wrong with asking where are you from?
I've asked that question more times than I care to remember.
They said the query should be, what is your cultural ethnic background? I mean, come on. How about where are you from? It's the easiest thing to say. Yeah. I mean, why is that? Anybody who's offended that if I ask them where are you from, if somebody asks me where I'm from, and I guess it's, if they have an accent, they're supposed to get offended? Please.
No.
And you bring it to race all the time. If I hear someone with an Australian accent, and I'm not sure if they're Australian or they're Kiwi or they're South African, hey, where are you from? I wouldn't be considered a racist because that happened to be maybe a white person from those countries. Right. But God forbid I ask somebody who may be Asian or like my wife Hispanic and say, hey, where are you from? Because you can't assume everybody's from Mexico. My wife is not from Mexico. Her family is from Guatemala and Honduras. So when I ask people where they're from, I'm always curious because I want to see, hey, maybe they're from one of the countries my wife's family's from. I can have a conversation.
Right.
Has nothing to do with the race.
That's how you strike up dialogue.
Yeah, but I got that once. I asked a kid, and we're good now, but he said he was from, or I assumed that he was from Hawaii or something like that. Okay? I made the assumption. I found out later he was Filipino.
Okay.
But guess what? I believe he lived in Hawaii. So these kids, and unfortunately as a kid, they're so sensitive that if you make an assumption on something, you're already labeled a racist. You can make assumptions. Maybe it was a wrong assumption. Then all he had to do is say, oh, no, my family's Filipino. Or
you
whatever it is. Yeah, you correct it. You don't get offended by it.
Yeah. Well, these are the microaggressions that we've been talking about. We're just finding something to be triggered about all the time.
I know. And then so we brought up this, we mentioned that thing normal. So now Dove soap, which we use, my family has it, and guess what we had in our shower? Dove skin. My wife had one for sensitive skin, and then she had one for me for normal skin.
Right. And there's oily skin.
Dove is taking normal skin off of their labels because it's offensive. I guess it's offensive to people that don't have normal skin. This is where we're going, people. I think the apocalypse is coming. It's right around the corner.
And you know what's amazing? The fact that you have normal skin.
No, it probably isn't. I actually have dry skin. Right. So I guess maybe I should get something for dry skin.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Is that an offense to lizards and alligators?
It might be, yeah. Because we did that thing on animals being offended.
I know. And then just a couple more things. And we don't want to keep this too long. But going back to Dr. Seuss, since he's still hot. Still a hot topic, right?
Yeah.
So I found out why one of the books was banned because we brought up the books in a few episodes before, and some of them we brought up the Chinese and the Japanese characters. So those were some they mentioned. One of them was just an Eskimo. It was like up in the north with penguins,
right? And
he had a little fur jacket on, and they referred to him as an Eskimo. And now, I guess that's not inclusive. That's one of the books that they won't publish anymore because they use the term Eskimo.
It's a damn shame.
And remember, this was written in the 30s or 40s? It wasn't a term back then that was considered anything harmful. Anyway, so, all right. So, and then Cedric, you had some other words. Like I'm sure the people out there have known that you have to spell woman now with an X instead of an A in there. WOMXN, Womanixon.
I haven't heard that.
And you've heard Latinx, right?
Latinx. It's Latinx.
Yeah, because you can't have Latino or Latina because that's gender specific. So
right.
They stick an X in there. Woman with an X instead of an A. That way you don't have man in the word.
But even the Spanish language, isn't that, when I took Spanish in high school, if you ended it in an O, that was for the masculine. Ended in an A, it was feminine.
That's why I said this is
and no one had a problem with that.
Strictly freaking Anglo white liberal nonsense. Yeah, I'm not on the left though, as you can tell. Even though one of our listeners thought we were SJWs. Mm-hmm.
Oh, jeez.
So then Cedric brought up some of the other things, but I don't mind these as much. I'll put them up on the board.
Right.
About like the mailman, you say male person. I don't mind that stuff because if you're a woman, I don't mind call her a male woman or a male person.
Right. But I'm offended though, because what if the letter carrier drops it off in a mailbox? It can't be in a mailbox. It has to be like in a gender specific box.
Oh, I see. You're saying the mail part. That's MAI.
I know. I'm saying, but it sounds like a mailbox.
But then you talk about it in terms like, man on the street. Say woman on the street. Those I don't care much about.
Well, all these terms here, man-made. Something's man-made. Use manpower.
Yeah. And man-made's not. It's when you say man-made, it's basically gender neutral anyways. I know it has the word man in it, but anyway, it's just... I go back to this every time. This is like the book, and those of you who have not read the book, 1984, especially our younger viewers out there...
Hurry before they ban it and burn it.
Yes. Read that book because you're going to see the whole basis, the premise of the main character. His job was to take books out of circulation, change the words, and put them back in. Any articles, anything they could do. Well, in modern day, with Google and everything's online now, and with the Wikipedia, they just do it on the fly. So it's basically his job would have been so much easier now, and they're doing it, and it's scary. It's frustrating. We bring this stuff up, we laugh at it. I got into a thing with somebody again on Facebook.
Imagine that
over the Pepe Le Pew thing, and he said He was saying, don't listen to that faux news of Hannity. You can't believe that fake news. It's like, well, then please tell me why he's not in Space Jam 2. Because the actor's really upset that his character, and it was actually a teaching moment because he was the one who advanced on the cat, who was a bartender, I think, in this scene.
Right.
And the cat threw beer on him or whatever, a drink on him, to show that that's a bad thing to do. So it's actually a good teaching moment for kids.
Right.
Like, you don't do this. But yet they got rid of it out of the scene.
Yeah, it was Pepe Le Pew. And from what I heard, I think it was the white liberals who was really upset about Speedy Gonzalez. The Hispanic culture had no problem with him.
I know. Well, they're leaving that one in, thank goodness.
Are they?
They are.
Okay, good.
Yep, they are leaving that one in. And, there's for now.
Yeah, that's
but
today.
Each day, Amazon actually took a book that was basically... It was pros and cons of the transgender movement. It was called When Harry Became Sally.
When Harry Became Sally.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was a book, and they just removed it. So for those out there who say there is no book burning, there is no cancel culture, then why does this book get taken off of the public square? Amazon's where you get your books. 99% of the books you get off of Amazon. So if they take it down, nobody's going to publish your book because if Amazon doesn't carry it, you can't sell it. So you're going to have to become a self-publisher. So they are burning and banning books.
But I bet you can purchase Mein Kampf without a problem.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
As the fellow Jew, you want to know history. They taught this to kids, because I got taught this. If you don't know history, you're going to repeat it.
Right.
And now they're just erasing history, so guess what? These kids are going to repeat it.
Did you know that, and this may be off subject, there's a book out there now, it's a children's book called The Gay BCs?
No.
Yeah, it's the Gay BCs teaching children the ABC, because the ABCs are for one purpose only, to teach children to read and write.
Yeah.
But they turn to the Gay BCs, and like, I forget what the first two letters, A and B, but it says C. C is for coming out. And then, me being a smiley, I'm like, what does D stand for? And then you have to get into lowercase d and uppercase. There's that D stands for. Is it the D or is it the D?
And if I remember right, they teach the ABCs to what? It's kindergartners or first graders? Yeah. So we really need to teach kindergartners and first graders about coming out?
I got to look at the book and see what D stands for. It'll be interesting.
Go ahead, Cedric. Say your tagline because
it's a damn shame.
Damn shame. All right, we're going to keep this one short. I want to end with one thing because it has to do with school. And I let Cedric know this. I don't know if he saw it separately, but Columbia, that prestigious university, is having segregated graduations. Congratulations.
Yes. We're doing it.
Martin Luther King. You ended segregation. Guess what? You've been dead for 40 years, and it's coming back with a vengeance.
Oh, wait, you're part of this graduation? Your water fountain's over there.
Yeah, so... And it's not just black and white. There's an Asian one. There's an LGBTQAI plus. I don't know what the AI plus is for, but that's they keep adding letters. It's going to be the whole alphabet soon. There's Latinx.
Right.
I think there might even be a women's.
Oh, geez.
I mean, they're separating by everything. You know, that's unity, buddy. Brett Biden said he was going to bring unity.
Now I'm going to play along. People get mad if they want to. Is the Asian one? Is that the entire math department? And then.
You just offended all of our Asian viewers. I apologize for my black associate here.
The black one will start at 2 o'clock or whenever you guys get there.
Yeah.
Show up whenever. You know you're going to be late. Don't get mad. Don't write me stupid comments. I'm having fun with it.
But can you see how stupid this is? Columbia, that used to be a prestigious university, now is separating people. I mean, how there's like six different graduations.
Yeah.
But they're going to piss somebody off because there's going to be some group out there that says, well, why didn't you include us? Or,
right.
You know, and then the Asians are going to go, why are you combining all these Asians? The Chinese and the Japanese and the Samoans and the Koreans and the Vietnamese, we're all different. Why are you clumping us into this one thing? I would be pissed. If I was Asian, I'd say, how come they have this Asian graduation?
Right.
They should have a Chinese.
You got to break it down even more.
Japanese. I mean, they don't. If you're from China and you're from Japan, there's a chance you don't even speak the same language. One speaks Japanese, one speaks either Mandarin or... Oh, my goodness.
It's a damn shame.
We've got to fight. You know, I was talking with my sister, and she posted something that she believed in, and she got so much backlash, she took it down. I said, Heidi, you have to do what Cedric taught me. You drop the grenade and you walk away.
Right, just pull the pin.
Don't back down. It's the people that back down because they're afraid to speak that lets things like this Columbia graduation happen with all of these things. You need to stand up. And if it's too much for you to look at all the comments, you post what you believe, and then you just let it go. But you don't take it down. Don't let him take it down. It's like that Mumford & Sons guitarist who just apologized for reading a book.
Right.
So we'll get into that next time. But anyway... I think we should do our comment, right?
Yes, comment of the day. We should do that. We're getting a ton of those.
All right, but before we do our comments, go buy our hats.
Okay.
All right, Cedric, let's do some comments.
Okay.
We're going to do some comments after you buy our hats, and then you get to see the comments.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
All right. Okay. This one, if you guys haven't checked, we recently have been doing a lot of reviews on the great rapper, Tom MacDonald.
You sure it's a review?
It is a review. It is a review.
I don't know, not according to this person right here.
Ernie
And I said
Sanchez.
person. Well, Ernie, I'm going to assume is a male.
Don't assume.
I know. I shouldn't assume. You know what?
Okay.
I'm still going to assume.
Right.
You can't control me.
And Brian and I were getting tired of saying this. We stumbled across Tom MacDonald. We didn't do any reactions. Brian said it better than I could say it. He says, we're not trying to fool anybody. We are not sitting there, turning the music on for the very first time, listening and pausing. We've listened to it once, twice, maybe 3 times, and then we sit here and review it. Like when you're in high school and you're in college and the teacher gives you a study guide and you review for a final exam, you review it, you ask questions, you study it. We review it. So with that being said, and I didn't want to be rude, but after the song, People So Stupid, Ernie Sanchez says, review is when you only talk about it without watching it. But reaction is when you watch it and talk about it, what he is talking about in his music.
Shut up.
Fine.
When we said we reacted to stuff, everybody called us out and said, you didn't react, you've seen it before. So we said we review it. And now this guy is calling us out for calling it a review.
We watch the damn videos and then we talk about it. Review it, react to it.
And you can review and watch, okay? There's nothing says you can't review something and have it on the screen. Cedric sent me that, and what did I say? I said, I used the F word. I said F and troll. Sorry, Ernie.
So,
it is Ernie, right?
Yeah, it's Ernie. It was,
Sorry,
it was
Ernie.
appropriate. It was under that song.
I don't mean.
So stupid.
Yeah, I don't. We don't mean to call you out. You're probably just meaning it in a nice way, just kind of trying to explain to us. But
we're answering you and everybody else who addresses this.
Maybe we should say we're gonna talk about a song today. How about that?
Anyway.
So next time we put something up there, you'll see in the title, Cedric and Brian talk about it. How's that? Because I want to hear what they say about that.
Right, they'll find something about it. Let's not beat this anymore. Well, anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed that segment today. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you ring that bell, and make sure you comment, even if it's on the music videos. And make sure you share our videos with everyone you know.
Don't be afraid to comment.
Please comment. Until next time, I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian. See you later.